is where I'll blend my feet. Life is calling, but you need healing now. For all good reasons, the change is coming. Well, change is coming for all good reasons now. But you need healing, for life is calling. So hold up your head and think about today's regrets. They don't look at you the same way. You make up the time, well, this ain't the end. You better let it flow. You better let it
What is up, everybody? Man, I was just out shoveling after like our 25th storm in the month of February, and I think I do my best thinking when I'm shoveling or mowing the lawn. Found myself thinking about life's purpose, and I was like, I guess I'll just make a video and share some of the thoughts that I've been thinking. So, here we go. So in talking to my students lately about purpose, I really start to reflect on my own journey. Let's stop the video right there. I went back and watched some of the things that I said, and I realized as I started to get into stories about my history and my past, I get all monotone and serious, and it's kind of boring. So I'm going to jump in and spice things up a little bit with my commentary on my own commentary, and how in my self-absorbed 20s, my goal was just happiness. And I didn't really much think deeper beyond that. So I would just kind of chase what made me happy. When I say chase what made me happy, what I really mean by that is living out of the back of my truck for 5 years, having zero bills, owing no money to anybody, and just taking each day one day at a time and totally living in the present moment with a whole lot of snowboarding, a whole lot of travel, and a whole lot of working out. And I think what's really interesting is kind of chasing what made me very selfishly happy at the time led to kind of where I am today and the level of purpose and fulfillment that I feel, which is kind of a really fascinating thing for me when I think about. Because I think we live in a culture where it's the question for kids and pretty much everyone is, what do you want to be? I don't think we live in a culture that forces us to think about what we want to be. I know we live in a culture that forces that upon us. Right? Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What is it that you want to be? How do you want society to see you because of what you are? Versus, what is it that you love to do? Right? So my new rule is I never ask a young kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? I like to say now is, what do you love to do? When I say, what do you love to do? Basically by that I mean, when and if we ever have free time, how do you love to spend that time? What do you love to do? What fires you up? What revs your engine? And where do you seek to become a better version of yourself, be it with a skill or anything else that you love to do in spending your time? And I think if we were to do versus be, we could kind of find ourselves in a place that brings us the purpose and passion and fulfillment that we might be seeking as human beings. And an example that I heard recently that I loved is you could hear young kids say, well, I want to be a lawyer. I'm going to stop right there because this video sounds like it's talking about careers, and I'm not talking about career, although it can be. But what I'm really focused on is just chasing what we love. And if you absolutely love studying law and learning about that kind of stuff and studying for exams and taking exams and all that comes with being a lawyer, maybe that is the right choice for you for a life full of passion and fulfillment. But what if you just want to be a lawyer, but you don't want to do lawyer stuff? You don't want to do law. You don't love reading and learning about it. You don't love interacting with the people in the way that you need to be a successful lawyer. That might be a good sign that being a lawyer might not lead you to a purpose and fulfillment that you might be seeking. So without even really recognizing it or realizing it, that's kind of been the story of my journey. Is when I graduated college, I was told throughout much of my life that I just kind of follow in the footsteps of my father, who was a businessman, and that was what I thought I'd do, because that was kind of what was kind of manifesting in my brain and what I've been told since I was a young kid. Blah, 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 the story of my life. Come on, Pete, hurry up, get to the good stuff. And I thought to myself, you know what, before I go do that, before I join the real world, I'm just going to go and take one trip. And I bought an RV with a couple of my buddies, and we drove across the United States I think I've told a story about that once or twice on this vlog. But yeah, that's what we did. So for 2 months, I just kind of saw the world. Well, not really, just saw the United States. For me at that time, seeing 35 states, whatever it was, may as well have been seeing the world, because I hadn't seen anything really outside of New England and Florida up to that point in my life. And checked stuff out and had a blast. And when I got back, I was like, oh, you know what? I think what I really, really want to do is, I had this lifelong passion since I was a little kid to one day work at Disney World. So I'm going to see if I can go down there and do that. And I did that for a while as a lifeguard. And when I came home, I just wasn't quite ready to step foot into the business world. And yes, to answer any questions, I did get to go down into the tunnels underneath the castle in the Magic Kingdom to see Goofy walk around with his head under his arm. And kind of one thing led to another. And 5 or 6 years later, I had spent the previous half decade snowboarding in the winter, teaching snowboarding, because that was what I loved to do, managing a swimming pool in the summer, and traveling in the spring and the fall. And it was just a really, really cool life of doing the things that I wanted to do without really thinking about what is it that I wanted to be. Coming out of college, I was amazed at how many people I knew were choosing to do things they knew they didn't want to do. So my goal was to not do something I didn't want to do. I know that sounds super simplistic, but I think in the culture that we live in that's so career-driven, money-driven, produce, consume, it's actually kind of a challenging thing to do, and you're totally an outlier if you just live out of the back of your truck, make no money, spend no money, and love every moment of every breath while you can do it. And as I continued to teach swimming lessons and to teach snowboarding lessons, the parents of the students that I worked with were like, hey, have you ever thought about becoming a teacher? And that had never even crossed my mind, even though my mom worked in the school system almost my entire life. It just never crossed my brain that I would one day be a teacher. I couldn't even name most of my teachers to you, to be quite honest. I'm hoping that none of my former teachers have found me on the internet and listened to these videos, but that's the truth of the matter. I'm up way past my bedtime editing this video, and it just hit me that I want to take back that statement, because my middle school Spanish and English teacher, Miss Jagodowski, is an amazing human being who instilled so much confidence in me, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. Yeah, I didn't ever really like to do school. School wasn't really my thing. But the parents of these kids that I was teaching were saying, you know what, you're really good at teaching swimming and snowboarding to my kids. Maybe it's something you should consider. So as kind of one thing led to another, and I considered that. I ended up kind of following that and getting into the physical education realm because I loved doing physical education type stuff, and I loved sharing that passion with my students. Fitness is what brought me from that lack of confidence in being the physically smallest person in the room to really believing in myself, and that's why my journey to be the best version of myself started with fitness, and that's why I think it's such a great place for many people to start, and that's why I love to share fitness with anyone who's all in on helping themselves be a better version of themselves. And now I'm learning that I teach fitness every day, but fitness isn't really what drives me anymore. Teaching other people how to fitness was once what I felt like my passion was, but now through fitness, I love helping people evolve into the best versions of themselves. I just love sharing this thing that has positively impacted my life with other people so that they can strive to be a better versions of themselves, hence the better than yesterday. Whatever, Pete, you talk like you know it all, but you really don't have your stuff figured out. And that is the truth. I have a lot to figure out. So I feel so fulfilled and so purposeful right now helping my students take small steps each day to be a better version of themselves. And I just want to ask them, like, what is it that you love to do? Whatever you love to do, chase that. And I think that will ultimately lead us to what we want to be in a very, very purposeful, fulfilled manner. And I'm not talking about just careers. It can be anything that's a passion project for you that you love to do. I understand the reality of having to provide for ourselves and provide for our families, and sometimes careers and jobs don't line up with that perfectly. But it's important that we make time for the things that we want to do, so ultimately we can be the people that we want to be. Pretty good quote. I never heard that before. It just kind of rolled off my tongue as I filmed the vid, so I'll take it. I thought of all that while I was shoveling today. Anyway, I'm going to go do more shoveling. And no, I'm not sick of shoveling. I love the 100+ inches of snow that we've received so far this winter. I moved up to Vermont to appreciate it and love it, and I love it now more than ever. Have an awesome day. Stay strong. Driscoll is out. And I will keep shoveling.